Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. We'll be looking at the 32 constitutional amendments being proposed in the National Assembly. They've been harmonized, as I was saying, so that we're voting on the same thing. Now, they're going to be voting individually, and that's what we're talking about, 32 constitutional amendments, according to one report, so as not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So it's a pretty far-reaching thing. It's probably the most decisive thing the National Assembly will be doing in this tenure. These 32 amendment bills have been grouped under different themes so that they can deal with them systematically. You've got things like considering the Land Use Decree, for Land Use Act, for instance. You've got the also the whole matter of the National Youth Service Corps, something about the age, of the president. If you're 35, you should be able to become the president of the federation. Far-reaching things. We'll talk about that. We'll take your calls, but in the meantime, we have a report that sort of ties everything together quite succinctly. We'll come back, begin our conversation. Stay with us.
Distinguished colleagues.
The Senate is set for the clause-by-clause voting of 32 items it hopes to amend in the 1999 Constitution at Wednesday's plenary. It also debated various issues recommended for passage by its committee. The issues were presented in 27 bills, but the last bill concerning the Land Use Act, NYSC, Public Complaints Commission, among others, was split into 5. The minimum age by which young Nigerians can run for political office took center stage as Section 65, 106, 131 and 177 of the 1999 Constitution were proposed for amendment, but the minimum age for contesting senatorial positions remained at 35.
So if this gets through, the age for running for president will now reduce from 40 years to 35 years. Senate will remain at 35. I will explain. Then governors will be from 35 to 30. So we decided to leave the one for Senate at 35 for this reason. Now, if there is a vacancy in the office of the president and vice president, the Senate president becomes the president for that period. So it is important that the age limit for the president must be the same thing with that of the Senate.
If you are old enough to die for your country, you ought to be old enough to hold office in your country. I don't think anybody should be afraid of young people coming into elected office very early.
After the presentation, senators had a barrage of questions on key controversial issues that may arise if the amendments become law.
Powers of the state, without matching funds, how do they function? How do you expect them to perform? There is no number of candidates that you can have as an independent candidate. So if you have 100 or 200 people, how do you take care of the logistic arrangement?
When a woman who is married assumes the citizenship of the husband, what happens to his original indigenship?
But Senate President Bukola Saraki assuaged the feelings of senators who raised certain observations aimed at halting the voting process due to lack of clarity. The Senate leadership assured that all gray areas will be cleared before the voting exercise, especially on the use of the electronic voting machines.
There have been a lot of very good things in this document.
We've been here 2 years now. They've been managing this system. They've been doing what they need to do. And now that it is time for us to say we want to use the e-machine, I'm sure they will.
Some senators have said that very controversial issues, such as the removal of the Land Use Act from the Constitution, should be left for another day, saying that they still need to consult their constituents before they take critical decisions on such issues and vote for it. Somna Sambo, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, so there you have it, and people have opined that remarkably, it is also a proposal that after this set of amendments have been dealt with, subsequently, there will be no necessity for the president to actually assent to a bill. In other words, if in the National Assembly they come up with a 2/3 majority, it becomes law without the necessary, without the president's assent. As I said, quite far-reaching. For instance, Senator Ashafade was talking about a woman now being able to choose which nationality how she wants to go. by her birth or by that of her husband. Very, very interesting. And my guest is Dr. Tunji Abayomi, a constitutional lawyer and politician. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Professional in politics.
Yes, yes, professional in politics. But you still are a politician.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes. You were going to be governor of your beloved state. Yes, so, and I imagine that you might try again. So that's why I put it like that. But thank you very, very much for coming on the program, Tunji. Give me your impressions, because it sounds exciting. Somebody even said that if you're old enough to die for your country, why shouldn't you be old enough to, lead your country?
Well, it's important to appreciate that a constitution of every nation reflects the culture, the tradition, the excellencies of a nation. For example, it may be acceptable, for example, in France, that the president will be even 28 years old if the culture allows and promotes that as a normative. Mm-hmm. But it may not be so in Nigeria if, in fact, the culture of the peoples of Nigeria should reflect that age is an essential factor for determining leadership. So it's very important to understand that. And that is the reason why it's always important for the people to meet in their various communities in order to agree on the constitution of a nation. Mm-hmm. Now, the mere fact that you can die for a nation, not necessarily. The issues about dying for a nation is different from the issues about governing a diverse nation with diverse interests, an essentially complicated economy, and also dealing with international community. Mm-hmm. So let us understand that.
So these are the kind of things I imagine will come into consideration as the National Assembly comes to vote. Observations like this, no doubt, will be thoroughly argued. Yes. Is Nigeria ready for a 35-year-old, commander-in-chief? Again, we will know, because today is the day. The whole matter about possible, interestingly, that idea, so many different interesting themes that they are working on. But the idea that if it goes the way that is being proposed now, the presidential assent won't be necessary for a bill to become a law.
They don't really understand the issues. Let us understand something. The first thing is that those who framed the Constitution debated the issues extensively. And some of them are some of the best minds in this country in fashioning the Constitution. Mm-hmm. The National Assembly now is merely saying that we disagree with your thoughts in the past. So far, we don't have evidence from the peoples of Nigeria that this is what they want. Let us understand that. There's a difference between what the National Assembly wants now and what the people, because the people have not met. Now, let us now look into this issue of assent of the president. The law as at today, in the case of Agbakoba against the National Assembly, is that the assent of the president is required. And the reason is very simple, according to the Federal High Court. I think the case is actually in the Court of Appeal now. Mm-hmm. That's why it doesn't really make constitutional sense to talk of Nigerian constitution as amended. There's nothing like that. Okay. It's a misnomer.
Okay.
If a constitution has been amended properly, you don't talk of a constitution as amended, you talk of a constitution. Yeah. American constitution has been amended 24 times or thereabout. They don't talk of American constitution as amended, they talk of American constitution. But this issue of constitutional amendment, the position of the court is very simple. The position of the court is that the constitution was not brought about by the people of Nigeria, but by law. And every law cannot be amended unless it has the assent of the president according to that same constitution. But if it is a constitution properly framed by the people, it is not a law that is passed into law. In the case of this particular constitution, it was brought about by legislative action. And every law brought about by legislative action in a democracy must have the assent of the president. That is the position of the law as of today. Therefore, for you to turn around to say that a law cannot have the assent of the president.
Well, need not have.
No, that is wrong.
If they can come up with a 2/3 majority,
Yes.
then it need not have. That's the proposal. If it
No.
were to scale over.
The 2/3 majority can only come about after the president has refused to assent, has vetoed a law.
Yeah, that's as it is now.
You cannot.
But they're trying to cut all of that out.
How do you want to do that?
By amending the law. By amending the law.
By amending the constitution? How do you do that? Everywhere in the world, every constitution, democratic constitution, everywhere in the world, every constitution, democratic constitution, any law must have the assent of the president, or you can override it. Let us understand the reason why that is essential. It's part of the structure to control the appetite of any of the powers.
Okay.
In order to safeguard the rights of the people. That is the whole essence why when you pass a law, you send it to the president for assent. For example, let us now say that the National Assembly passes a law in order to advantage the members of the National Assembly, contrary to the wish and the interest of the people of Nigeria. When they send it to the president, who has the collective authority of the entire nation, the corporate, or he is the only one elected by the universality of the people of Nigeria. He will look at that law and say, look, this law will not be good for the people of Nigeria, and he will refuse to sign it.
Yeah.
You can now go back. If you now send that law back to the National Assembly, and by 2/3, and they still believe, because they represent different constituencies, then they can pass it. But to get that 2/3 is not always easy.
Yeah.
That is the whole essence of the
to make it as difficult as possible
yes,
to mess with the document.
To now say that the president does not have to sign a law,
Yeah.
you are actually working against the interests of the people. That is the essence.
Okay.
And that is why in every democratic constitution, that provision is imputed, that you will have to send it to the president to sign, to veto, and if he refuses to sign, it comes back to you. Yeah. That is the whole essence. Yeah. But that is with regard to the law. But a constitution is a different issue entirely. A constitution does not go to the president. A constitution validly made, because it is an agreement of the people on how they want to be governed by a government, their government.
So this, what you've just said gives me, quite frankly, your impression on the whole idea that they can come up with anything that will obviate the president's, signature. You can't do that.
You cannot do that.
You can't do that. Well, they're going to try.
That in itself would be a violation of the very constitution that they brought about, that brought them into existence.
Well, it remains.
How do they want to do it?
Since they're going to be voting today,
let us see how that will be brought about.
They discuss these matters before they finally call for a vote, and no doubt these matters will come up, and it just might be that if it is seen in this way, it'll be struck down. But we wait to see. Devolution of powers was another sensitive one that came up. In fact, some members, I understand, are employing them to step down the item on devolution of power because, as I have it in this report here, it was wrong to give state more powers without greater share of the national revenue. So these are things, some of these ideas that have been kicking around, the more devolution of power, let's have true federalism and all of that, they're trying to get them in, but apparently there are still those who are worried among them.
Right now, the most intense discussion in this country is restructuring. The devolution of power is a form of restructuring that is all over the nation. Now, let us again go to the essential issue. What nature of power, character of power, quantum of power, quality of power is supposed to be given to the states and the local governments. That is the essential issue. And that is one of the fundamental issues of this restructuring. Now, Because if you look at the situation, the federal government gets 52% of the wealth of this nation. The states, from Calabar to Sokoto, from Lagos to Maiduguri, have only 48%. If you look at it, that's probably one of the essential reasons why we have so much corruption in the federal government. The federal government, some of you just meet, sit around the table, and they share the money anyhow, without even paying attention to the constitution that requires budgeting. Now, most of the states, that is to say most of the peoples of Nigeria, feel that produces an imperfect economic democracy in Nigeria. And that makes a whole lot of sense. However, how do you now achieve that? I believe that the concept of restructuring, people don't understand. They just talk of restructuring. When I delivered the democracy lecture in Ondo State, I explained the situation very clearly to them. Restructuring can only come about by way of a constitution of the people of Nigeria, not by way of this so-called constitutional amendment. Okay. Because the restructuring, for example, may require that we have only one legislative house instead of two. It may require that we cut down the number of senators instead of 3 from each state. It may require that instead of all the members of the legislative House of Assembly, two local government producing one legislator, maybe we want to change everything. We may even require, in the whole essence of restructuring, that we, instead of one single National Assembly, we have different regional assemblies. All of these things cannot come about unless the people sit to come together to agree on the terms. The constitution we have now, Yori, is unamendable. Unamendable. Because it is not the constitution of the people of Nigeria. It's a constitution foisted on the people by the military that lied about itself, that said we the people, is a lie, bloody lie. Yeah. We the people hereby met and gave to us this constitution. We never did. False.
Okay. Now, you've jumped into the answer to the question I was going to ask, at least part of it, because I was going to ask, people are saying what you've just said because it is true. Yes. This constitution was foisted on us by the military. And so people have said that we need to junk it and do a people's constitution.
Yes.
Much easier said than done, I imagine. So I wanted to ask you if we could not achieve a similar effect by amending the constitution, or if we need to, as it were, scrap it all together and come up with a fresh one.
If you now have to amend the constitution, you have agreed that the National Assembly will be there.
Okay.
As an immovable pillar.
As opposed to resetting to default, to ground zero. So that we can now think.
In fact, this is the best time for us to have a constitution, because now we have had diverse experiences, including dealing with this National Assembly, dealing with the executive, looking at the judiciary. We can now decide that what manner of nation do we want to have, what manner of government do we want to have in order to bring about a great nation. And the point is this: if you look at this nation, you must understand the issues that defeat the greatness of Nigeria. The greatness of Nigeria is defeated by ethnic rivalry, intolerance and suspicion, injustice, economic injustice, the tendency to economic injustice, lack of control by the rule of law. Those are the three things that defeat this nation.
And a proper constitution will fix that?
It is only a constitution of the people, where the people come together and agree. Peoples of Nigeria. We are not one people. I have explained it in this your program here.
Yeah.
Divinely, Nigeria is placed in the different ethnic groups, divinely placed. It is good to have a nation, but by agreement, not by force. Not a National Assembly that is anxious to protect its privileged position.
Now, part of the challenge in understanding this is where people have said that, look, the Constitution, complete with all its warts, is what it is. But even if we were to go by it such as it is, faithfully and diligently and transparently and scrupulously, we wouldn't have 3/4 of the problems that we have.
Yes.
You know.
That is
So
true.
even if we were to come up with the People's Constitution, for example, simplifying it horribly, everybody knows that you cannot steal, for example. It's a law, in fact. Yet people still do that. So what I'm saying is that if we had this People's Constitution that has all the ideal scenarios that we want in it, where's the guarantee that people will still play by it, given the experience we have with
Let
this?
me give you a simple example. In Ondo State, and my state, we are basically an agricultural state. But agriculture is in the federal legislative list. In Lagos State, if they want to make a road within Lagos State, just the airport road that serves largely Lagos State, they've got to get permission from the federal government. So the structure, the constitution, the structure of the constitution and the constitutional structure presently in this nation is extremely problematic. It was problematic because it was brought about by the military, essentially according to its wish, but not according to the peoples of Nigeria.
Okay.
So now, if we have a constitution, we will be responsible both for its wealth and its poverty. We will feel committed to it.
So what you therefore, well, you're not, you haven't recommended any. I was going to ask if you would therefore be recommending, since you said at the top that these people, meaning the legislators, hardly know what it is all about.
Yes.
Are you saying that we should leave alone for now?
No, what they need to do for the nation, I have explained it again and again in different fora. What they need to do is to bring about a law to enable the peoples of Nigeria to give to themselves a constitution. I have said it, and I think in your program I have said it. It is not a government that gives a nation a constitution. It is a constitution that gives a nation a government.
Okay.
And it is not the content of a constitution that validates it.
Okay.
It is the procedure of making a constitution. This National Assembly, because they have the legislative authority of the electors, like in Britain. Britain has no written constitution, but its government is legitimate because of the electors. What they need to do is to bring about a law to enable the people to give to themselves a constitution. They can set the perimeters of bringing it about. In the case of Nigeria, we have had several constitutions. The people will meet through a constitutional conference and agree. They may look at all these documents and come about with a constitution of the people, not this one that lied about its origin.
Reverend Olushola in Ijebu-Ode, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. God bless you, sir.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, I thank God for you and for my SAN there.
Just to hear about your baby.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Please carry on.
I want to contribute something.
We'd like you to.
We cannot continue to say amendment to a constitution that is falsely placed upon us. What we need to do is to sit down. We have so many ethnic groups in Nigeria, and we have diversity of opinions. Let's sit down and formulate a constitution that will bring peace to this nation. All that they are trying to do today is an effort in futility. And I tell you, we Nigerians will rise up and we will do what we ought to do.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Okay, sorry.
This country in a very, very wonderful position. We have all it takes, human resources, and we have even the natural resources God has given to us. There's some set of people have clustered themselves and they have cornered these resources.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Reverend, for calling in.
Let me just give you, a simple example.
Sure.
Today, an ordinary worker in Nigeria makes 18,000. That's the minimum wage. The legislator, the senator, is said to make about 59 million per month. according, whether I think there is a it's probably true, because if you take their income, their legislative, their something, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
In addition to that, all the constituencies and so on and so forth. That means that a worker will spend over 300 years of hard work to make an annual salary of a worker, Nigerian worker. Maybe the people of Nigeria want a situation where the salary of a legislator is not more than 20 times the minimum wage.
Okay, that's a possibility.
As a possibility. So that the legislator will feel the pain of the people. After all, they are supposed to represent their joy and their pain.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the present situation, they don't represent their pain.
They don't. Dr. Abayomi, that idea about, for example, a legislator earning only 20 times the national minimum wage, I'll assure you 20 times the national minimum wage, I'll assure you have an empty Senate in that place. There will be nobody there right now.
And that is the whole reason why we need to have a people's constitution.
Ola in Lugbe, Abuja. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yari.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. And good morning to your guest in the studio.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes, it is very glaring from the contribution of the senior advocate. Are you hearing me?
Well, we can hear you.
Yes, it's very glaring from his contribution that is averse to the amendment of constitution that the National Assembly is about to embark upon. But what he should know, what he has to kind of come to time with, is the fact that it's within the right and the constitutional responsibility of the National Assembly to tinker with the Constitution. It's within their right to do that. So if they think, it is necessary for us to do one or two things, about the Constitution, so that Nigeria can move forward from the position we have now, I think they have the right to do it.
No,
so
we don't.
Try among us to crucify them or castigate them for what they bring. Now, a constitutional conference was held in 2014.
Okay.
And I want to believe that a lot of Nigerians actually allude to the fact that constitutional conference has to be revisited. But unfortunately, the powers that be, the people in the government say they don't want to have anything to do with it. So if that's the position we're having today, instead of somebody called and said that maybe we should have another constitutional conference, how many constitutional conferences are we going to have in Nigeria? In a nutshell, let the National Assembly go ahead. If they think there are some aspects of the Constitution that needs to be amended so that things can be improved upon, so let them go ahead to do it.
All right then. Thank you very much, Ola, for calling in.
But Ola, if you are there, you must also appreciate that the Constitution has been amended 3 times by this same National Assembly, 3 times at high cost to the nation. If they continue like that, within a period of 20 years, they would have amended the Constitution 20 times. But
in fairness, America has many more amendments to its Constitution.
Yeah, but look at the number of years. It's only 24 years. In over 200 years of constitutional democracy.
Yeah.
The issue, he does not understand what I'm talking about. They can amend a valid constitution according to the prescription of the Constitution. But here, what they are amending now is not a constitution. Okay. They are saying the president will not sign it. Why will president not sign an amendment to a law? What we have is a mere law. It was a law passed by the legislative power of military government. A constitution is not law.
Okay.
A law deals with only one instance. A constitution deals with everything.
Everything. It's almost like the Bible.
It's not law. It's a constitution agreed upon by the people on how that government will govern them.
Okay, we're going to take a break now. We'll continue immediately after. So keep your gunpowder dry. Keep the questions coming in. On the observations and comments, we're going to be here. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back. Okay, proposals to amend the Constitution being considered and will be voted upon today. Wide-ranging issues that they've categorized according to themes. One that catches my eye here is the affirmative action, so-called, for women. 35% of appointments and all of that kind of a thing, reserved. There are actually some states, I imagine, that have their own informal arrangements along this line. I think Lagos State, for instance, acts on that. What do you think about that? Because that sounds progressive.
Well, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But ordinarily, in an organized society, where there is no discrimination on the ground of gender, because if you look at the Constitution, it says that you cannot discriminate the present constitutional decree, because it is a decree, Decree 24 of 1999. That's what it is. It says you cannot discriminate on the ground of ethnicity, on the ground of gender, or the condition of birth. Even that one has covered the woman. You cannot discriminate on the ground of gender.
No.
So the point is this, that if you go for a job, if a woman goes for a job, it should be treated equally. The Constitution presumes a situation where you don't treat equals unequally or unequals equally. Because there are situations where unequals cannot be treated equally. For example, in this country we have over 20 million disabled people. Well over 20, maybe run even up to 40 million disabled people. Disability in different form. And a lot of them are mentally competent. Now, special arrangements should be made for those people.
Exactly.
If we're now talking of affirmative action, in my view, it is far more essential to make room for affirmative action in the Constitution to protect the disabled in our nation, because that is a situation where you ought not to treat unequals equally. Now, yes, you can take care of the woman, have nothing wrong, but a more precarious and terrifying situation is the number of disabled people in this country that are left to suffer.
And we're just not,
and because of
we don't have a society that is conscious
we don't have a society
of our responsibility.
We don't have a
them.
system. A woman, for example, that is able, mind you, out of the about 40 million disabled, about 90 million are women. About 40 million that are disabled, about close to 90 million are women.
Wow. Wow.
In this country.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Let me bring in Toyin. Toyin is calling in from Akpo in Abuja. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, ma'am. Is that a sir or a ma'am? Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning to your guest.
Yes. Thank you for. Please go ahead.
Yeah, please, Uncle Yori. I'm a student of sociology, and all through the days in school and everything, we've always written about bad governance, and we were never marked wrong. All through. Till date, that is what has still been affecting us, and nothing is being done to it. I am beginning to understand the reason why people, project that Nigeria is going to divide 2015. And now we've gone beyond that, but we are still not understanding that we are still sitting on a gunpowder. People are still not consciously conscious about what is going on.
Okay.
This group of class of people that has been milking us, you understand? They are still trying to suppress us in this country.
Is that what you think this exercise is? Is that how you categorize this exercise in the National Assembly?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all they've been doing.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Toyin. Appreciate your call.
One of the greatest concerns of Nigeria today is the type of National Assembly that this nation has. The wealth of the nation that is consumed by the National Assembly is ungodly.
And nobody seems to be able to do anything about that because they won't do it to themselves.
So if they won't do, this is the issue. If you now say that you are doing constitutional amendment, are you going to amend it to reduce the consumption of the National Assembly?
Yeah, exactly.
So it is actually a facade. It is a cover-up to deal with the fundamental issue. And the fundamental issue is that we do not have the type of constitution that defines the type of government that the peoples of Nigeria want. What they need to do if they want to serve this nation is to bring about a law for the Yoruba to send their delegations, the Igbo their delegates, the Ijaw to send their delegates, the Kanuri to send their delegates. It is good that we are diverse. We can find the excellencies from our diversity. Put it together to build a great nation. America was running a confederal constitution. They saw that the confederal constitution is giving America an imperfect society. They came together, 55 great minds, and brought about D'Hautauquen, their French philosopher. He said the greatest mind that ever inhabited the face of the earth. They came together and they brought about a constitution for the peoples of America. So why can our legislator, if they are deep and serious and concerned about this nation, why can they not bring about a law that enables the Nigerian peoples to come up with a constitution of the people, for the people, and by the people?
Yakub, thank you very much for holding on all that while. Please go ahead now.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And then good morning to my able Dr. Abayomi.
Thank you very much.
I always enjoy him anytime that I come on the studio. Make Nigeria realize what we are and then where are we going to. Having said that, you see, all these constitution amendment, I can tell you that if they finish this amendment, if any government comes to power next in 2019, or as case may be the APC still remain, and then all this senator will be changed, I can tell you some of them will still come out that they still want to amend the constitution. That is the sure.
Yes.
Because they always amend the constitution to suit themselves. Why am I saying that? Usually, when the deputy senate president are reading some of the paragraphs they want to amend it, I've never seen him say that for the recommendation of this country, for this country to move on, we want to hereby to merge both the House of Representatives and the Senate to become one Senate. He never says so. That is number one. He never says that we are here to reduce our salary and our monument. In the case because Nigeria is not up to that, he never says so. Similarly, somebody called from Abuja later on that says that the constitution amendment come up during 2015. He says that why can't they go by that law? They can never go by that law because that for a national constitution that Jonathan set up that is set up based on people.
Okay, but we got your drift, and it doesn't look well. Apart from I think it was Ola who called in from Lugbe. Apart from him, nobody sees much to all of this. What they are seeing is an ulterior motive. That's not the way the Senate wants, the National Assembly wants it to be seen.
The point is that the people, it's just to cover, to diffuse. You know the facade, to diffuse the tension of the people and the agitation. It's just to contain it. That's the whole essence of this. The people are talking on the restructuring of the nation. A nation must first of all have a structure before you restructure.
But as you know, the whole matter of restructuring it scares some people silly, as you know.
The reason why it scares people is because it's not operationalized, it's not defined. Everybody talks of restructuring. What does it mean? What exactly? It's like when we were talking, when we were struggling for democracy under military regime, we were talking of now sovereign national conference. And I said to my colleagues, what is sovereign national conference? The only conference that is sovereign in a nation is a constitutional conference to give to a nation a constitution. The only way you can restructure a nation is by its own constitution. It is a constitution that sets the structure and refines the structure.
So if you don't have a constitution, then you can't do a lot of the things that
we're
talking about.
You cannot. How are you going to do it?
Samson in Warri, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling.
Chief Professor Uncle Yori, good morning. I've been trying to reach you for morning. I've been trying to reach you for like how many years now?
Oh, well great that you made it.
Maybe
today.
because he's chief professor. I know.
Then good morning, sir, Daddy. Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Yes, sir. I also like to say something. You see, the problem I see in this very legislative as of government is the problem starts from the party they emerged from. You see, before you could send somebody to the house, they're supposed to even understand the constitution itself. Maybe they should have training before sending them to Abuja. Because most of them, they're just for nay and I. Sir, go and write it down. So I'm telling you, all those things will fail. That's why we want to go for electronic voting. Electronic voting is going to be silent thing. That's debated on this thing as of yesterday night. I had a friend in Abuja. They said those things, they have already got that. They are new. Everything is going to be named. And then they tell you the name Abi. So that is the only thing, sir. The only thing about our constitution, and we need a fresh constitution. We don't need all those military constitution because they have the masses. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much, Samson, for calling in.
I mean, you can imagine a simple issue. They said that the INEC is now going to conduct the election at the local government level.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the value of that? INEC cannot even conduct presidential election effectively. Mm-hmm. It cannot conduct elections into the legislative houses effectively. It cannot conduct election into the House of Assembly or the governors. So how does that add anything to the value? Then let us also remember something. The issue now we are focusing on the National Assembly. How about the assemblies of the various states, which don't even exist? They just exist in name. They are just an appendage of the governor in this country. The houses of assembly are just another department of the executive governor in the several states of the federation.
When you say
states
don't exist,
yes?
I know you're talking constitutionally.
Yes.
Is that because, how does that, what do you mean?
When I say they don't exist, I'm saying in power, authority, or action. Mm-hmm. They are not effective at all.
Do I have
is that what we want?
Okay. Do I have anybody on the line? Damola in Abeokuta. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
My take on all that has been discussed is that for people like Uncle Abayomi.
Yes.
Are you with me?
We can hear you.
Yeah. My take is that for people like Uncle Abayomi and like mine, to help us serve as a pressure group. Because like he said now, it's just to dose the tension of the restructuring we are talking about. Mm-hmm. They will just dance around this thing and it will go like that, and nothing that will be impactful on both the youth and people of the country will happen. We need people like this to come together at Bakoba and help us serve as a pressure group. Put pressure on this government, put pressure on this National Assembly to do the right thing for once for us.
All right then. Okay, Damola, thank you very much for calling in. And speaking about the youths and pressure groups, I understand, I think I was reading in one of the papers that youths have gone to the National Assembly. Even that which we're talking about now, at least the youths are saying that the whole 35-year-old age thing is even too much. It can be lower. I imagine that's what they're saying. So, although I don't know how far that's going to get, when Damola spoke about pressure groups, I don't know, have those things ever really had an effect?
but I mean, the issue is, if you say that if this generation is of the view that it should be reduced to 35, the next generation may think it should be reduced to 25. The next generation
maybe that's why the youths are in the national.
That's not, for me, that's not a... Reducing the age of the president to 40, making it 40, to my mind, it's okay.
Okay, as you said, to your mind.
To my mind,
because you explained at the very, very beginning that the Constitution has to take into consideration
the culture
of
exactly.
the people, and whether they have
exactly, because in Nigeria at the age of 40, I mean, you are okay to govern.
Yes.
The complexity.
That's because essentially, across the cultures, people respect elders.
Precisely.
And assume that the elders...
and there's a level of wisdom. And don't forget that a president is the first citizen. That means that everybody will bow to him. including a 90-year-old. You understand? Is the first citizen. Everybody bows to him. President never bows to anybody.
He is the number one
including
citizen.
A 90-year-old.
Indeed.
Including his own father. So
Exactly.
even put it at 40, it is still reasonable for within the complexity of our culture. Okay. You understand? But the issues, as I said, rotates around the essentiality of organization of government. As it is, the constitution we have is the idea of just a few people in the military council.
And that's the problem with it. That's
yes.
I got to bring in, I have Solo calling in from the UK. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. What is going on? It looks like the National Assembly is giving us the impression that we are being held hostage by a document called the 1999 Constitution.
Decree 24.
But that is not true. I think we shouldn't be held prisoners to that Constitution. We need a fresh Constitution. There's no doubt about it. The 1999 Constitution is failing. Now, we need an elected Constituent Assembly to fashion a new Constitution that will be workable for Nigerians and move away from this charade called constitutional amendment. This new amendment is not going to serve any useful purpose. We'll come back to this thing, we'll be running in circles. Please let us have an elected Constituent Assembly to give us a fresh people's constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Salo, for calling in.
Let me add something to it. Sure. The tragedy of this nation, the grave tragedy of this nation. The constitution itself is illegal. This constitution. The reason is this. The military government gave itself in Decree 1 of 1984 the power to make law. That's the power it gave itself. It co-equal to the power that is vested in the National Assembly. The question you want to ask yourself right now is, can the National Assembly give Nigeria a constitution? Because the National Assembly cannot give Nigeria a constitution, in the same manner, the military government that has a co-equal legislative power can also not give Nigeria a constitution. They realized it. When they now got to the point of a constitution, they realized, oh, we don't have power to give Nigeria a constitution because the power we gave to ourselves is to make law for peace, order, and good government under Decree 1 of 1984. So they just slammed decree on it and call it Decree 24 of 1999.
And that became the
And mind you, that same decree didn't bring about government. It said this decree will come into effect May 29 of 1999, after all the governments have been created. So it is not even the constitution that brought about the national government. The national government had come into existence before the constitution. Yet, every constitutional expert knows that it is a constitution that gives a nation a government. It is not a government that gives a nation a constitution.
So there's so much wrong with this constitution. Our last caller today, Mr. Stephen in Ajah. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for your work. Well done. I just want to add a voice to your topic on ground already.
Sure. Please
Hello?
go ahead.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, I am a bit concerned on the topic we discussed because I think it's for all Nigerians and I'm one.
Yes.
So I'm concerned. But there's a perspective I want to add up to what the elder statesman in the studio is saying about. There are comments he made that I'm worried about. If at this generation we are still seeing leadership as people bowing to you, I'm a bit concerned. Okay. Hello?
Okay. Yes, I hear you. We've run out of time, and I want to give him time to sort of respond to the point that you make. I'm sorry there might have been more, but taking about your comment about the constitutional having to take into consideration the culture in which it is based, he was going to go on to this whole idea about in this modern day and age bowing to everybody. I think was relating to that. Don't you think it can be counterproductive?
No, it cannot. Every constitution reflects the culture, the tradition, the excellences, the essentialities of every nation.
So that's the point.
So I'm not saying you should put bow into it. All I'm saying is that age may be one of the perimeters to be considered in fashioning a constitution for Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abayomi. But we had to rush that last one, so I hope you understand that, Stephen. We've run out of time, yet I wanted to air it. So that's our program. I'm going to thank Dr. Tunji Abayomi, who has been, dubbed NSAN on this program. There's nothing.
I don't even believe. I don't believe in that. I don't think a lawyer should have a title.
All right then. So join us tomorrow for a fresh edition of the program. I'm Yori Folari. Bye bye for now.